Hi team, Uwe Jacobs, Property Friends. We're just in Hobart, had a nice breakfast, and I'm sort of contemplating my navel on this beautiful Sunday morning. I wanted to have a quick chat. I get a lot of questions. How do we find the areas that we work in, and what's the strategy, for example, of being in Hobart? Well, let's cover that for a moment. For starters, our strategy revolves around balance between growth and yield in property investing. I just don't believe in huge negative gears where you gotta pay $500 to $1,500 a month of your after-tax money towards the joys of owning a property investment with the hope of making up that money through capital gains. Now, as we've seen in the case of Sydney, where for 7 years there was no capital gains at all, that's pretty hard to swallow and pretty hard to get past your subconscious. I know Ulla would chew my ear off if we were paying, let's say, 7 years, $1,000. What's that? Call it $1,000 is $5,000, now $50,000 a year. That's money, big money, anyway, and that's after-tax money, anyway. She would chew my ear off if we were to spend that sort of money for 7 years, and that's the challenge. You got to sit out the cycle, guys. You got to sit out the cycle. Yes, it doesn't happen overnight, but it will happen. I am convinced of that, and that, of course, is just my humble opinion. If the past shapes the future, that will happen again. But nobody can guarantee that. So, our strategy is a bit different. Our strategy is we want the property investment to pay for itself, and pay for itself completely, that is. Now, that is including all costs and at 100% financing, theoretically. Because even if you do take, say, 20% of your principal place of residence, revalue it, have a mortgage drawn on it, and use it as a 20% equity portion into a new deal, that needs to be paid by somebody. And usually that's us. Surprise, surprise. So, we calculate all deals at 100%. Now, I do my calculations to the best of my ability, not to make them look good, but to check out what is the actual cash flow position, what is the likely capital gains, and what are the rental yields going to be. Now, of course, there's some estimates, but you can usually get within $20 or $30 a week in that, and quite frankly, anybody that can't hack $20 or $30 a week difference, up or down, but let's say up, shouldn't be in property investing. We all need to have a buffer, and that is just part of the risk mitigation to have sufficient buffer. Anyway, moving right along. So we look for places where the there goes the phone again, where the investment pays for itself, and Hobart, for that matter, at the moment is a great place to do that. The capital cities usually return between, say, 3 to 4.5% rental yield, certainly in the inner city, and even the outer ring does not much better. I don't start until we've got about 5.2, 5.5%, because at the current interest rates of, say, 5%, and the tax breaks included through the non-cash deductions mainly, we are creating a situation where the property at 100% theoretical finance pays for itself completely. So that is what I'm after. I want a property investment that pays for itself completely and has capital gains. Hence the title, Have Your Cake and Eat It Too. And when you got my body shape, that's a good thing. Alright, so we go for capital gains as a secondary issue. And the reason for that is that, hang on, just gotta push this away. Hi. Some people are joining me. That's great. Welcome. So the reason for that is capital gains to me is a secondary issue. Capital preservation comes before capital increase. And what I'm looking for is not to have a huge impact on my lifestyle. We all tend to live with what we've got, and I certainly don't want to put $500 a month minus after tax cash flow into anybody's pockets, meaning that I don't want to put a deal into anybody or to anybody that has $500 after tax money to be subsidized, minus cash flow, that is. The reason for that is that it tends to limit your lifestyle quite a bit, and that ain't no fun. And property investing can be fun, so that's why we don't do that. Now, of course, the big money is made in the capital gains, so we want capital gains too. We want our cake and we want to eat it too, and that is really not an issue provided you know where to look, provided you know what are the indicators. And in the end, well, here comes the big truth. It's all crystal ball gazing anyway. Nobody can with absolute certainty guarantee that X, Y, or Z will happen in the future. All we can do is do our research, do our due diligence, and make a personal decision, each and every one of us, to invest or not invest. And of course there's inherent risk in investing. There ain't no gain without no pain. Anything worthwhile doing is worthwhile doing right. So what we do is we do our research as best as we can, and we then go and dip our toe in the water. Now, the big difference, I guess, with us is that we don't propose anything that we wouldn't do ourselves. And heck, at 6.5 to 6.8% rental yield, and in my view, this is not a recommendation, not a financial forecast or anything, talk to your advisors, having that out of the way. In my view, in the next 12 to 18 months, we will see 10 to 15% capital gains in the areas that we invest in. Our guys at Contract Signature are already up 35 grand in a $400,000 deal. That ain't bad money in my books. That ain't a bad deal in my books. But of course, everybody has to decide for themselves. So in summary, rental yield comes first. I want the property to pay for itself, because that means we can just continue with our lifestyle however we are living. Capital gains is a must, because that's where the money is made. Have your cake and eat it too. On that note, have a good one.